Hey, everybody. Good to be with you. Let me fix my tech here. I'm Cindy Baker, ADHD productivity coach, and I'm coming at you with more helpful tips um, to help you be organized, ADHD friendly tips, that is. So let me get my screen going here because I want to make sure I'm on camera. Okay, I think I'm recording. So good to see all of you. If you are jumping on live, if you could let me know in the chat, just say hi and let me know where you're tuning in from. And we're actually going to talk tonight about, or not tonight, today, about clutter and how clutter is killing your creativity, what to do about it. And you probably already know that it's hurting your creativity. But, I love to keep my workspace clear, but I will admit, true confessions, that some weeks my desktop is a disaster. Um, I've got little sticky notes and papers and files and handwritten notes and like half started projects and ideas. And, you know, yes, I'm your typical creative, right? Stereotypical, disorganized, disheveled at times. Um, and I attribute it to the creative artist in me. But if I'm honest, that sort of clutter doesn't work for me. And so I've learned to not have that clutter. And as a result, I am finding that I'm more focused, more creative. According to a blogger, Jeff Goins, he says clutter is procrastination. And so think about that. Clutter is procrastination. It's the resistance. It's a subtle form of stalling and self-sabotage. And it keeps me when I do it and you from creating stuff that matters. Um, the mess is not inevitable. You don't have to have it just because you have ADHD. It's not cute or, oh, absent-minded professor. No, clutter is an enemy and it is killing your art. It's stifling your creativity. And clutter can stifle creativity in a number of ways. Um, First of all, it's just distraction, right? Clutter can be distracting. It makes it difficult to focus. When you're distracted visually by clutter, then you might find yourself daydreaming or staring at the mess instead of working, or you start reading something on a piece of paper and your brain goes off down a rabbit hole and pulls you away from what you're supposed to be doing. So it is definitely distracting. It also creates cognitive overload. Um, the visual reminders of clutter can drain your cognitive resources and it can reduce your working memory. And if you have ADHD like me, you probably already have working memory problems. And another way it stifles creativity is clutter gives you a sense of unfinished business. You don't have that closure. Clutter can create that sense of things being not unfinished, and that makes it difficult to focus. Um, and that can be due to undone projects or tasks, or maybe decisions that you need to make that you're putting off. Um, so, uh, kind of the biggest one, I think, is clutter creates stress. Clutter can create stress, and stress is not an ideal environment for creativity. So when you look at clutter, your cortisol levels spike, and that can trigger anxious avoidance behaviors. Another way that clutter can hold you back is that you have difficulty finding things. When you have too much clutter, it can be difficult to find what you're looking for, or at least find it quickly. And that wastes a lot of time, and then that wastes money. So some people thrive in cluttered environments, I've heard, but I don't think ADHD people do. I think that we find it stifling. Um, so you want to clean up your mess, and that's probably why you're watching this training, because you are interested. So hopefully this will just just urge you with a little bit of motivation to get out there and do something, at least your desk area, start there. I don't know if you've heard of Patsy Claremont. She's written some funny books. She's a successful author and speaker. And it's interesting. I read that before beginning her career, she did something unexpected. She washed the dishes in her house. She wanted to take her message to the world, but as she was getting ready, she felt nudged to start in an unusual way. And so she got out of bed and cleaned her house. And in other words, she got rid of the mess. And it put her in a position to start living more creatively. And so we have to do the same thing. Bringing your message to the world does not begin on the main stage. It starts at home, and it starts in the kitchen with your dishes. It starts at your desk with the papers or on your cluttered computer. You need to clear your life of distractions. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be enough that there's room for your brain to be creative. The relationship between clutter and creativity is inverse. The more clutter you have, the less creativity you have. Mess creates stress. So that is far from an ideal environment for being brilliant. So you want to clean up your mess, and then you want to make more with less. Jack White has an interesting philosophy on creativity. He believes less is more. And I also read this from Jeff Goins, that inspiration, he says inspiration comes from restriction. If you want to be inspired, according to Jack, then give yourself boundaries. That's where art can really blossom. Now, if you've ever taken any training for public speakers, a lot of times you hear them say, if you can't say it in 3 minutes, you can't say it in 30. Now, not too long ago, I entered a speaker contest, an elite speaker contest, and we only had 2 minutes. And we had to grab attention, make our point, give a call to action, all in 2 minutes. And it was hard. I really struggled with that. I kept on wanting to put more in it, and I would like time myself saying it, and I would always go over, and that stressed me out. But I think the lesson there is if we can't summarize our ideas in a few short sentences, then we're not going to be able to elaborate on them for half an hour. I mean, we can talk for half an hour. We can ramble and rant and all that stuff, but that's not really communicating. That's like word salad, and that applies to writing as well. If you can't say what you want to say in a sentence or two, then you might not be ready to share the idea. Jeff says prematurely broadcasting an idea before it can be described succinctly is going to cause you to lose trust with your audience. And then that's going to cost the integrity of your message. So, famous quote by Ernest Hemingway: when attention is sparse, the people with the fewest, most important words win. The fewest, most important words. So we all need to strive for that. In a world full of noise, right? Noise and AI and everything else, it's nice to not have to weed through, digital spam to find nuggets worth reading, but that doesn't come naturally. It's a real discipline to succinctly get your point across. And I struggle with that. I go all around before I get my husband, it drives him nuts because he's like, get to the point. And he'll say, you just said a lot. I like to process out loud. So a lot of words come out sometimes. But the thing is, this is what's interesting, is that I find it frustrating when other people do that. And I'm just not aware sometimes that I'm doing the same thing. So I'm working on trying to speak more clearly and to write more clearly, the master the art of clutter-free writing. And usually what I do is kind of like a brain dump. I just get it all out on paper, everything. Don't worry about spelling or grammar, any of that. And then I go back and I start to take words out. And when we did our 2-minute speech, they said, take out as many words as you can and still get your point across. They say, if you can't say it in 5 words, you can't say it in 15. So less is more, I guess, is the point there. And this process of cleaning up your message is not intuitive for people. It is important. It's an essential discipline for anybody with something to say. So if you don't know where to begin, just start here. Reclaim your inbox. Start there. Throw away magazines and newspapers that you have no intention of reading. Clean up your email, getting down to like a manageable amount, 0 if you can. Clean up your desk. Throw away stuff that you haven't used in months. Find a clean space to create. This is different for everybody, but it needs to not stress you out when you look at it. And limit distractions. Turn off email, phone, social media. Put your phone in another room. Force yourself to focus on one thing at a time. And then start creating clutter-free messages. Remember, less is more. So use restrictions to be more creative. And then repeat that for the rest of your life. So I'm Cindy Baker, and I share tips about thriving with ADHD for entrepreneurs and other creative professionals in my company, CBC, Cindy Baker Coaching. I do this as a keynote speaker and on platforms like right here. So for more, like this video and subscribe. I will see you next time.